Here's a pretty challenging problem for you. In fact, it looks so challenging, you might say, I can't even do that. But let's work up to it. Here's the whole challenge. Mary is 3 times as old as her son is. In 12 years, Mary's age will be 1 year less than twice her son's age 12 years from now. How old is Mary? Well, instead of trying to tackle that one straight, let's try one that is a warm-up for that big one here. And this is about a rectangle. The length of a rectangle is 7 inches more than 4 times its width. So that's the first equation. This is a 2 equations with 2 unknowns. And then the perimeter is 124 inches. So what are the dimensions? Well, let's work up to this slowly, okay? So the first thing is, let's get rid of the 4 times. So I'd like you to see if you can write a mathematical sentence, an equation, that says we have a rectangle. The length of a rectangle is 7 inches more than its width. Okay? Stop the video and write that down. So since we're looking for the length is 7 inches more than the width, well, that'd be simple. You just say length and width here. But which side does the 7 go on? Well, the length is 7 inches more than the width, but that doesn't go over here. That means it's more than the width, so width plus 7 would be the way you'd say it so far. Okay, length of rectangle is 7 inches more than the width, so width plus 7 equals length. Okay, but now we go back to what it really said, which is 4 times its width. So now we've got to figure out which side is multiplied by 4. Well, if you think about it, which one's longer? Well, the length is longer. So we'd have to multiply the shorter side to have it get up to the length. And also, just think about it. It's 7 inches more than 4 times its width. Okay, so that would mean we'd have to have 4 times the width here. So this would be 4 times the width plus 7 equals the length. So we've got the first sentence, and we now got it as an equation. Now the second sentence is simple. The perimeter is 124 inches. Well, as you know, 2L plus W, that'll be 2 lengths and 2 widths. That's all the area, that's the length around a rectangle. So that would be here equals 124. So those are the 2 equations. Now see, it looks pretty long and involved, but mathematically it can be written with great precision and concise. Now, let's see what we're going to do here with these 2 situations. Well, one thing we're going to do is simplify a little bit, because you see the way there's a 2 here and 124 is even. So we can divide both sides by 2, and then that cancels out. So we just have, then it would be L plus W, length plus width, equals half of 124. Well, 120 is 60, and that would be 62. Okay. So these now are going to be the 2 equations that we're going to use. And we have to find somehow what numbers for L and W work for both equations. There are 2 lines and they crossed at some point. What's that point? Well, one way to do this is to say, well, length plus width equals 62. So if we subtract length from both sides here, so go ahead, solve it, okay? Length equals 4W plus 7, length plus W equals 62. So stop the video and see if you can puzzle this one out. Well, if you had success, let's see if we agree, and if you didn't have success, let's see how you could do it. So I'm going to say here that we're going to call this thing length plus W equals 62. Well, I'm going to call that, let's subtract W from both sides of this thing. And that means those go away. And so that means length equals 62 minus W. So let's go over here. Now instead of writing length, we're going to write what length is equal to. So substituting in 62 minus W equals 4W plus 7. Okay, now you notice you only have one variable now because we substituted out the L. So now let's take this and put on the other side. So it'll be a plus W and a plus W here, which means we'll have 5 W's on this side. And then we got to take the 7 and put it on the other side, and that means it's going to be minus 7 and minus 7 here. And 62 minus 7 equals 55. So then we have 55 equals 5W. Well, do the math, huh? Right? Divide both sides by 5, and we have W equals 11. Okay, well, if W equals 11, and L equals 62 minus 11, then L will equal 62 minus 11 is 51. So those are the numbers. That's the answer. Length equals 51, width equals 11. Now, put a big box around it, but let's just check and make sure here. So first of all, the length of a rectangle is 7 inches more than 4 times its width. Okay, well, let's check that out. 7 inches more than 4 times its width? Well, 4 times its width would be 44. 44 plus 7 equals 51. Okay, so this first part is true. Now the perimeter here, if those guys are length and width, then that would be 51 plus 11 equals 62, and that's half of a rectangle. To do the other half of the rectangle, we have to just add another 62 to it, and that equals 124. So, bang, we got the right answer. So, in summary, you take a word problem and convert it into just a pure set of mathematical equations, in this case 2 equations, 2 unknowns, and in that case solve to figure out what the answers to the word problem are. See how fun math is?